Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, welcome to episode number 44 of This Week in Google Glass. This week we're going to be talking about hardware upgrades that we're never going to see. Glass open to, there's no more explorers, it's open to everybody now, and especially in the UK, but don't take it into a theater because they're going to slap your wrist. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch more. And, of course, Luke is back from Google I/O. I'm back from Detroit for the Ford event. And we've got a lot of pictures and video. And we're going to show it to you. This is episode 44 of This Week in Google Glass. Hey, everybody. Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine. Think Magazine. Put in a geek. You've got Geekazine. Twitter handle is Geekazine. And, of course, Geekazine at, Jeff at This Week in Google Glass or Jeff at TWIGG.tv. I just realized this must be an older lower third that I put in here because I have Jeff at thisweekingoogleglass.com, not twig.tv. That's interesting. But that's okay because Luke has absolutely no lower third to him. Luke, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
It says I can't add a lower third, or it says I can't because I'm in a moderated call, but maybe you can. So yeah, Luke Luca on Twitter, that's LUKELUCA, or Luke at twig.tv. Sorry for that horrible intro. I just noticed that myself. I'm like, where did that thing go? So
that's okay.
Yeah, we're all back and ready to go.
Oh, that's cool. So you went to Google I/O and you had a lot of fun. Tell us a little bit about what you did at Google I/O and tell us all the trade secrets that you found.
Well, I guess I can talk about
there's your lower third.
Stuff. Yeah, so there it is. I found it. So I was out at Google I/O. I was also out at a GDG summit. I'm one of the organizers for GDG Dallas. That's the Google Developer Group's Dallas chapter. And that was pretty neat. We spent a couple days out on the Google campus in Mountain View talking to some Googlers and getting some tips on how to run different developer events and kind of hear from other organizers of how they're running their events and some new initiatives and stuff from Google. Real interesting. And then the big event on Wednesday and Thursday was Google I/O, which is the big annual developer event for Google where all of their technologies are discussed. It's not just an Android event. It's not just a Google Cloud event or whatever, App Engine or anything. It's just all of the Google stuff, which means that it's a whole lot of information crammed into 2 days. Yeah, so very, very, very busy.
Yeah.
But a lot of fun. Yeah, just so much stuff.
So basically,
new technology.
Okay, so basically there was no news besides the news that came out right before Google I/O on the hardware, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So, did you talk to any Glass developers, or did you find out about any new apps that might be coming that you're really interested in, or anything like that?
Actually, the news on Google Glass was really quiet at Google I/O. There was almost nothing said about it at all. The keynote didn't mention it. It did come up in a couple of the sessions about Android Wear. So I don't know how much we want to talk about Android Wear, but it's the new Wearables initiative from Google. It's kind of a slimmed down version of Android that runs on wearable devices like watches. That's kind of the first use of it that we're seeing is these smart watches. What they did mention in one of the Android Wear sessions is that Google Glass would become an Android Wear compatible device.
Okay.
Which really means that all notifications from your Android device will be pushed to Glass in this case. So it'll be pushed to Android Wear devices, but since Glass is becoming one now, all notifications will push to Glass, which in my mind is actually pretty big news because it takes Glass from being something that only works with apps that have been written specifically for Glass to pretty much every app on your phone will have some amount of Glass interaction.
Okay. Well, that's cool because the one thing that they do have to, and I've talked about this before, is they have to figure out how to make your watch, your glasses, your coats, your whatever else becomes wearable, talk with your phone and not have the conversation interrupted because somebody else wants to ask a question or make a statement or something like that. So interesting stuff. And of course, you did get yourself something there. What'd you get?
So
Attendee, Bertundi,
every person,
everybody that was an editor at the Onion. What?
every person who had a ticket and had a badge and had an ID that matched that badge, really, because they do check that kind of thing.
Okay.
Got to pick one of two Android Wear devices to take home from the event. There's this one that I picked. It's the LG. I guess it's called the G Watch. Let me wake it up here. So it's got a little clock face, and then I'm not sure what's on there, but it's some notifications, and I'll try to swipe through it. Maybe if I take it off, it'll be a little easier to show. Or you could pick from a new Android Wear device that no one really had heard of or seen before. It's a device by Samsung, and I think it's called the Gear Watch or something. I don't know. It runs Android Wear, which is different than a lot of the other Samsung Gear watches that have been this kind of non-Android custom thing that only works with Samsung devices and stuff like this. So this other Samsung one, though, was a standard Android device. So here I've taken it off. So I can kind of show here how it works. And you kind of swipe through your notifications and different things that are going on there.
Okay.
And so we can talk about how that kind of compares to Google Glass. It's definitely a little different than Google Glass.
Well, of course, it's sitting on your wrist. It's not sitting on your face.
Which is actually a big difference because I tried to use this watch on the way home to do a few things that I've done with Glass. Admittedly, I've done them several times with Glass, so I'm maybe a little more used to it, but there were some things I was trying to do on the watch that are a lot easier on Glass, a much better experience. So
Okay.
I don't know how much you want to talk about that right now, or if you want to go into some other stuff first.
Well, I want to talk about. Oh, hold on a second. I'm just trying to pull stuff up so people can see. But there's one big one here. You guys did some stalking while you were in San Francisco, and you got this picture right here. Which, well, no, not this picture because this is me, but this picture right here. And it's hard to see, but that is Shaquille O'Neal, and of course that's Luke Wallace there. That is you, right?
Yes, that is me. People
kind of a little fuzzy. I don't know. You might have faked that one. A little Photoshop in there. I don't know.
My camera settings weren't exactly how I wanted or how I would have liked them, and it's real dark there next to the elevators at night in the hotel, and so yeah, not the ideal place to take a picture, but I did grab a quick picture with Shaq. He happened to be staying at the same hotel, so.
And you guys were like, there was some sort of game or something like that you said you were playing?
Game? No. Yeah,
You're telling me about Find Shaq, because everybody was seeing Shaq, right?
Oh, yeah, so I posted my
Don't make me sound crazy, man.
No. Oh, the game you mean? It was the game we were inventing.
Yeah.
Like I posted up that I saw Shaq, or that I kind of ran into him and got a quick picture, and then I noticed another Glass Explorer, Noble Ackerson, I believe. He also saw him at a Walgreens there in San Francisco while he was in town for Google I/O, and so. I posted on that and kind of cross-posted, and people were going back and forth and reading both stories. And people were saying, "Oh man, Google Plus, we should be able to keep an eye on Shaq now. Let's see if we can track him down. Like every whatever, like keep tabs on Shaq and find him, and because it's like there's enough people out here that are on Google Plus that we should be able to keep it going." So
exactly.
I don't think Shaq's on Google Plus officially, so. There's a few Shaquille O'Neal people, but I don't think they're the real ones, and so we weren't able to like tag him or, kind of get his response or anything. So.
Well, I suppose if he does have one, his PR, it's run by his PR team or something like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would imagine so.
So pretty much the bottom line though is it was a very uneventful Google I/O when it comes to Glass.
Yes, Glass.
Did you? You said you got the watch, but a lot of people I noticed got Android TV. Did you get one of those as well, or no?
So Android TV is an interesting thing. I can talk about it now because I was actually under NDA for a few weeks because we released, well, we made one of the sample apps that they were using to demo Android TV at the conference. If you happen to watch the keynote, you might have noticed the Travel Channel logo on Android TV, and that Travel Channel app was written actually by me and another guy at the company I work for. And so, yeah, here's me posting with our representative from Google that we worked with on that, and we actually had this app for Travel Channel up and ready to run so people could see how Android TV will work as apps are built for it. So that was a really neat experience to get kind of some early access to some SDKs that were not ready to be made public yet, and you know, they were having to work directly with Google to figure out what was going on there. And it was a lot of fun, very, you know, a little more stressful, right? Because it's a hard date. You can't exactly say it's not ready, guys. Can you just push IO out a couple of days and I'll have it ready? It's like, no, there's a hard deadline, and if we hadn't had it ready, it would have just been dropped, and you wouldn't have seen anything about it. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I've seen some companies where they basically have said no, we're not ready, but we're still going to display it, and then they have a half-eaten machine or half-eaten program, excuse me, to show. And I'm glad that you got it. And the Travel Channel, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed, and yeah. For everything that you do, it's like it blows what I do out of the water, basically. So, congratulations on that. That's a big achievement, and to think that how many millions of people will actually be using that app, not only on Android TV but also on other devices. That's a big accomplishment. Good job.
Yeah, no, it's really neat. The experience is really neat. It really works out well. You can, you know, you kind of use a little controller, your phone, or a little game controller. Android TV isn't actually a public thing yet. You can't just go buy them. They have dev kits right now, but the idea is it'll be integrated into televisions.
Yeah.
Towards the end of this year, early next year. So, and then there will be some separately sold boxes. I saw an announcement from what's the Razer? No, is that right? I don't know. The one game,
What?
There's a game company. It's not Mad Cats, but there's another one.
Steam? No.
No, it's not.
I have no idea.
But
You know,
anyway,
when it comes to games, that's
Android
different
TV.
league.
It's going to be integrated into some other little home gaming consoles because it actually runs some, like, you know, it runs Android, so a bunch of games are starting to be optimized for those. You know, that kind of 10-foot experience they call it, and so you'll have apps and games like a whole lot at launch. So it'll be pretty neat, and yeah, the video quality is really good, and yeah.
Do you know what's in the boxes? Because I have the Fire TV, and the Fire TV has some impressive stuff inside the box, including 2 gigabytes worth of memory and stuff like that.
I don't remember. I was at the Android TV session because they were going to be showing off some more apps, and I wanted to see if our app was in that list. They kind of, you know, showed it in a sense, but very, very little. They were focusing on a couple other ones that had bugs in them that I noticed during the demo, but
yeah,
I'll leave that for another time. So so that's the thing, is like there is no, like, the Android TV devices that they gave away at I/O to the people that were at that session. Those are really dev kits, and so what comes with the Android TV will really be up to the TV manufacturer. It does support both kind of a standard, you know, up, down, left, right control like you might see with, you know, any sort of TV, but it also supports a dual, you know, a dual analog stick controller like you would see with the
yeah.
Xbox.
Actually, I was surprised how much it looked a lot like, well, an Xbox controller, or which I think I have down here, but also the Fire TV game controller. It had a couple extra buttons from what I saw, but I was pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, using the one that I did for development, the gamepad controller to me feels very much like an Xbox 360 controller, which I have and have used a lot. So to me, it felt very similar. The D-pad was a little different, but again, this is more of the developer controller, not really a Like this isn't the controller that you would get necessarily with your TV. It might be that Google ends up selling the controllers when the TVs come out, but that's kind of that's a little early to start doing reviews of that stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, all right. Well, it sounds like you had a great time in San Francisco, and I'm glad that you did. And I ran into some of the other devs, and some of the other Google Glassers, and I was really jealous because I wanted to be out there, but. That's okay. I had to go to Detroit. There's a lot of events happening last week because we had the CES line show was in New York. I was actually invited to go. I said I was going to go to Detroit, which is what I did, but I was also invited down to Houston that week to go and tour another tech facility. And then Google I/O was that week, and there was something else that happened last week. That I heard about. It's crazy when it came to conferences, but I'm guessing they're all getting them in before the summer months and stuff like that. And my Glass just rebooted, so it's a weird day for me. Speaking of which, by the way, if you hear some big booms in the background, we're under a major thunderstorm right now, and last time I saw a tornado watch. So I'm braving this stuff so we can get the show out to you, just so you know. So if things get a little bit slow, that's what's happening. Or if all of a sudden I disconnect from this whole thing, show's over. Simple as that. So that probably means the power went out and we probably won't be able to get back up online. So if that happens and very abrupt, then you'll know why. So, all right. Well, like I said, I went to Detroit and got to see the new some of the new Ford vehicles, including the 2015 Ford Edge. Amazing vehicle. I got to ride in a 2015 Ford Edge, camouflaged and everything, and I've got those videos up on my YouTube channel over at youtube.com/geekazine. And but basically, they went through a CEO switch, and up until last week, Alan Mulally was still CEO of Ford, but this week it's now Mark Fields is the CEO of Ford, and that's this guy right here, which I had a picture with him. He's wearing my Google Glass, of course, and got to talk to him for a few minutes. He was very intrigued with the Google Glass. There were actually three people with Google Glass. One, I think you know. I know her name is Jen, but I don't remember her last name. And then there was a cotton pair there, which I couldn't. I didn't know who had them, but I saw them every now and then. So, but anyway, this is me and Mark Fields. But I want to show you the other picture. This is the other picture that and my good friend. I just met him, so he's not as much of a good friend, but he's a new friend. Rob Lee took these pictures. So thank you very much, Rob Lee, for the pictures. But this one, if you look at this, there's somebody's arm is positioned and the gray in my beer is positioned, so it looks like I have a big tusk sticking out of my face. So that was pretty cool. So we'll switch it back and forth. There's without the tusk, there's with the tusk, and without the tusk, and with the tusk. And, of course, that's Mark Fields right there. So went to Ford, lots of great stuff. And I got a couple pictures to show you here, and then we're going to get into the content. If you've never been to the Ford facility, then you're going to see some cool stuff here. I did run into another celebrity, and for some reason, the photos didn't pull the photo over. But it would be in my Dropbox folders. Let me see if I can find. No, we're in the show. It's too late. So, but anyway, I got to drive in ride in a robot car. I got to, like I said, ride in the 2015 Ford Edge, and then of course we took a trip. Oops, we took a trip through the plant of the F-150 facility, which I've done before. But before we couldn't take pictures. Now we can take pictures. So I took a few pictures of the Ford F-150s being made, and I've got some video as well, which I'm going to do some time lapses on. But this is the plant where they make the Ford F-150. We got there's a lot of studios that you can get shuttled into and learn about all of Ford's vehicles. They got a great facility over there, and that's Drunken Octopus that got free. I don't know. So, so there's the Ford, and then yeah, those are the doors right there. And then, like I said, I took some video off of glass. So these are the doors going past in the. Wow, that's loud. Let's just mute that. They'll be sliding back and forth, and so basically that's the line of Ford. There's the roof of Ford, which is all grass.
Nice.
They have a whole botanical area up there, and apparently with this roof, it sustains better. It's twice as long before they actually have to go up and replace the roof than an actual roof, and it's amazing stuff what they're doing over there. So, but then the one picture I wanted to show you, but I don't have it in this list. Maybe I can find it in my Dropbox really quick. Give me a second here. Basically, on that Wednesday night, we got treated to this magician by the name of David Kwong, and David Kwong was part of the movie Now You See Me, Now You Don't. And he helped with some of the pictures, and I guess he's working on the sequel to that as well. And I know that because I talked to the person that actually took this picture right here, because he wouldn't let me take a picture of him. But this is David Kwong. And the person that took this picture was none other than Jesse Eisenberg, who actually played in Now You See Me, Now You Don't. And of course, he was many other roles in movies and stuff like that. So, but anyway, we had some fun, and he you know, the coolest thing, Jesse was there for David. So I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, how's it going? Great, loved your movies and stuff like that." And I go, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" And he goes, "No, I want it to be about David." And I said, "No, I totally understand that." And he goes, "Is that Google Glass?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Can I try it on?" And I go, "Can I get a picture with you with him on?" He goes, "Well, I don't really need to try him on."
Oh.
So, but no, he actually, I said, "No, it's not a big deal." So I let him try him on. He put him on. He liked them, and then gave them back. We talked for about 5 minutes about Google Glass, how I got Google Glass, what I thought of Google Glass, talked about wearable technology. He was very intrigued in the whole process, and I got it. It was a great conversation with him, and I really wished I would have gotten a picture with him, but you know, it's not a big deal with me. But just the fact that I know that he wore my Google Glass, and the fact that he took that picture, this picture right here, with and David, amazing guy. He started by handing out these playing cards. He was doing some playing card magic tricks, and then he did some other stuff. And at the end, he also apparently makes crossword puzzles. And you can actually go get David Kwong's crossword puzzles. They're in newspapers, I think, in Detroit and stuff like that. Or not Detroit, but Boston and stuff like that. And he actually put together a crossword puzzle while he was on stage. And the coolest part about that was he embedded little things inside the crossword puzzle, and of course that was part of the magic show. And the biggest one was the first trick that he did. He had he gave a card to a woman who sat on the card, and then he went through his routines. And and of course, being working in magic when I was young, I know that he was going to come back to this card, and he never did, and he never did. And then when he finished up the crossword puzzle, I thought to myself, he's going to have the actual card. And I started looking to see if I could find the card number inside the crossword puzzle, and sure enough, it was the 3 of clubs, and he had it diagonal in the crossword puzzle, and it was just amazing what he did. So. Lots of cool stuff there. So I was pretty intrigued, but you know, got a lot of great pictures and a lot of great videos. You can check it up. Oh, crikey! I just closed the wrong window. You can check it all up over at geekazine.com as they're going, or youtube.com/geekazine. So, all right. Well, enough about that. We spent about 29 minutes talking about us. That's how this show's about, right? Us.
Kinda.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's all about us.
A little bit. Yeah.
Nobody care. I don't care about anybody else. It's all about us.
This week in Jeffrey Powers.
And no, Luke Wallace and Jeffrey Powers. I give you first billing because I'm nice.
I don't know. No.
This week in Luke Wallace.
If it weren't for you, this wouldn't exist. So no. This week in Jeffrey Powers with Luke Wallace. I like that.
TWLW. This week in Luke Wallace.
I don't know if I'd always like that because it might hurt being inside. Don't stick your finger in me.
Wow. Okay. So
moving on. See, I knew that.
Yeah. Let's get into the news
like
here.
A doctor, they cut you open and they're like,
this
week in Luke Wallace, we found a tumor. Oh, good. Thanks. Great.
Is there something you're trying to tell me?
Well, this show's not going to go on a whole lot longer. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
What do you mean? This show's going to go on for years. Are you kidding?
Well, the show might, but
why are you planning to leave?
No.
Okay.
No, not planning on it.
Not planning on it, but you will. Yeah. Okay, whatever. I got you. So if you're looking to be part of the show, a great show.
Yeah, and your name is Luke Wallace.
If your name is Luke Wallace, to be on TWLW, this would be a great time for you to email me, jeff@twig.tv. So no, let's start over at PC World. Some big news actually happened before Google I/O even came out. Google has updated their Google Glass to 2 gigabytes of RAM. It was 2 gigabytes of RAM and a new battery, which made the battery life a little bit better. And you said that some of the people that got revisions got a new pair of glass, right?
That's what I heard. This is, through the grapevine at I/O. This isn't official channels at Google. So, take this information with a grain of salt. But what I was hearing is that some people have been getting the new version for, I don't know, a week or two now, not a real long time, but they've been getting the new version sent out as replacements, the new version with 2 gigabytes of RAM. Because we don't open these up and look at them and see the chips and stuff, the only indicator that I was told was a way of telling whether you had a 2 gigabyte version was that the nose pads were also changed to be a little bit smaller in the revision. But again, this is kind of, rumor. This I wouldn't say that this is authoritatively ways to tell, but some people are saying that we've been seeing these for a little bit, and I was also hearing from these same people that the 2 gigabyte revisions also worked a lot better. They didn't have the reboot problem. They had a better battery life, maybe due to a slightly larger battery. Maybe there's also some software changes or some other maybe minor hardware change that was fixed or something. I don't really know, but people are saying that the new version does work better. So I'm hoping that they'll either roll it out with a software update or people will be able to get replacements when they have problems.
Yeah. And we talked about possibly these being Google Glass, what we're calling V3. But I had my V2s. I had the other pair and this pair side by side, and I didn't notice the pads. But I suppose I could go find the box that my other pairs of Google Glass came in, and pull out, because in there the pads are sitting there because I never pulled them out of the box. And I can compare the pads with these and see if that makes a difference. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I still have, in fact, it rebooted as we were just talking in these last 20 minutes. So it's not, for me, it's not, it's still, as far as I know, I'm still on V2. So the other thing that happened was that they opened up the Explorer program, and which I was a little bit surprised on. They opened up in the UK especially, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But I was working on my web pages today, and I don't know why it's not showing this, but I'll just show this right here. Up on geekazine.com, I noticed on the ad, and I pointed it out on the Glass Explorers. That's an actual ad right there. Well, this is a picture, but that's the ad that was on the page, and so I clicked on it and said, "Hey, you can get yourself a pair of Google Glass now." So, is it officially done? Are us explorers officially discarded material in the Google Glass scape? Did you get a feel of Google Glass is not going anywhere past this, or because I clicked on this, it was still $1,500. It
Yeah.
was it was very silent that they did this. I think they did this morning. So do you think that that we need to be, as explorers, we need to be a little bit concerned that we've got not vaporware, but something that like that we should put next to our Apple leases and IBM PC Juniors?
Well, I think if that payment or if that ad took you to a page that said Google Glass is now closed, we are no longer accepting orders, thank you very much to our explorers, then I'd say, yeah, it's kind of time to hang up the glass and or move on to the next thing. But that's not what you're seeing. You're seeing a page that's open for just kind of anyone to sign up. So I would say that it doesn't seem like this is part of the Explorer program, although I didn't dig into that link to see, does it mention the Explorer program anywhere, or is it just saying,
Well,
here's
it just
here's a link,
goes,
buy 'em?
yeah, it just goes to the link to the page and says $1,500. Pick your shade, pick your color, pick your accessory, whether it be frames or whether it be sunglasses or whatnot. And there was a. It's just a part of a bigger thing, and of course there's some articles out there now that are saying, is Google Glass on the chopping block, is Google Plus on the chopping block, because that didn't get talked about at I/O. What's going on with Android at home and the at home products like Nest and stuff like that? Are they planning to give them their deaths or anything like that? Sometimes Google's very adamant or very vocal about it, and sometimes they're just saying, okay, we're just kind of gonna let it go to the way of the dodo.
Yeah, I would say right now we're just kind of in this weird limbo state between an announcement of death or another big announcement. It seems like the last couple announcements have all just been about like there's some new frames available. There's no, that they announced that last week too, or a couple weeks ago, about some new designer frames that will connect to glass. But yeah, it's pretty quiet. I think right now they're just trying to focus on the Android Wear platform and making sure that it gets good traction now while the press is hot on it, and then they'll come back to glass when they've either when it needs a little boost or when they've got some more news to share, which I was really hoping would be last week at I/O, but yeah, it didn't happen. So
I think you might have hit on something there, and I think it was, well, Google I/O is like Apple WWDC. They're not going to talk about they're not talking about the products. They're talking about the programs behind the products. So, and they're getting it into developers' hands to make the games, make the apps for that. If there's no changes in Google Glass, then why talk about Google Glass? Because you already know what's out there, and you go from there. So, and of course, Android TV, they want to start seeing people write apps for Android TV, such as the travel channel app, and then get those people excited. So that's probably why Google Plus. That's probably why Google Glass was not at I/O this last week. So
yeah, they didn't really talk about YouTube very much either. But
yeah.
I don't think anyone's worried about like, well, is YouTube going away? Are they going
Oh
to
no,
shut down
YouTube.
YouTube? So,
Didn't you hear at the end of the year they're going to close YouTube
oh
down?
yeah, they're going to start charging every time you go visit
No,
YouTube.
no, they're closing it completely down. It's done. It's done.
Yeah,
You got to get your
exactly.
videos off of YouTube
Exactly.
next
It's
week.
like,
So
just because they don't talk about it doesn't mean that it's dying. But sometimes when they don't talk about something, it means that it's dying. So that's the conundrum you run into of like, well, did they not mention it because it's so well established there's no need to talk about it? Or
yeah,
they're not talking about it because they're not really trying to promote it anymore.
yeah.
And because they opened it up to this whole new country, it tells me that that's probably not killing it off, because it would be really odd to open it up to the UK and then like just kill the whole thing off a month later. Like,
I don't know if if it's $1,500 for a pair of glass still, and they got a lot of back stock. It's like, what do we do?
yeah,
We sell them at discount, or we fire sale them, or we can make it look like we're going to continue on. We still sell them for $1,500. No, I don't think that's the case. I think that they're going forward with that. But we also know that there was rumor that Google Glass would not get an actual release date until next year. So, even with the fact that, I saw an ad and you could probably go out and buy yourself a pair of Google Glass, it's still, with the $1,500 price tag, it's just not going to happen and go from there. But what I do think is going to happen is, and it kind of merges with this next article, and I'm just going to quickly gloss over this. This is over at wired.co.uk. They were talking about how they also noticed that Google Glass was not part of this. But the one thing that they were talking about was Android TV, Android, and of course the wearable watch and stuff like that, and wearable technology as opposed to glass technology. And they were wondering if Google Glass was going to go the way for the wearable, and I don't agree with that. But what I do believe is going to happen is Google's going to focus on more on the watch than the glass, and then the glass is just going to be coming along for the ride because whereas Google Glass is $1,500, Luke Wallace gets a watch absolutely free just for going to the show. Gets 2 watches absolutely free just for going to the show. What's up with that? What's up with that, Luke?
So, one, let me be clear. My watches that I receive from Google I/O will be becoming property of my employer, since they paid for the ticket, the airfare, the hotel, like they paid for everything, and we definitely work with watches, so they're getting very expensive test hardware because it'd be a lot cheaper to just buy the watches now than it would have been to send me to the conference.
That's true.
So they're gonna get the watches. So I don't actually get to keep the watches. So if you see me, don't assume that I will have the watches on me. Also,
hey, are you recording me with that watch?
Yeah, yeah. So there's a whole lot of things with it. So I do think that Android Wear is a much more appealing, or at least the watches that we've seen so far. We don't know what the Moto 360 will cost, but so like the LG I think is $225, and the Samsung one is like $199 or $200 or something.
Now, is that going to be different from the watch that Samsung has out right now, which I think is a $500 price tag?
Let's see. I'm just going to pull that up real quick just to confirm that price tag, because they are available for sale right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy Android Wear devices. Let's see. The Samsung Gear Live, yes, is $199. So. And it works with many more Android devices. It does use Bluetooth LE. So why mention that at all on here? Well, like I said earlier, Google Glass will be getting, they say, all the functionality of Android Wear, meaning the APIs of Android Wear, meaning notifications from every app which appear on my watch right now. From every single app I've got on my phone, they show up on my watch. That means that they will all start showing up on my glass without any additional effort, which has not been the case until now. It's been, if you wanted your app on glass, you had to write a glass app, whether through the GDK or the Mirror API. You couldn't just say, oh, I have my Android app, why won't that just push notifications to glass?
Yeah.
So they're adding in that functionality to glass, which is going to make it much more valuable as far as what it can do, and make it just as valuable as the watches. So Android Wear is very nice. I've been using it now for a few days, since the conference. It's great for seeing kind of what's happening on your phone. You can look down and kind of see all the notifications that you've got. Oh, I got a quick email in, and you kind of scan it, and you're like, oh, well, this is just, an autoresponder from a wiki page updating or something. Okay, I don't really need to keep this, and you just swipe over and delete it. Well, that was all happening before with Gmail on your phone, but now it happens with any sort of mail app, any sort of notification that has those actions. So I think they are focusing on Android Wear, and I think that it's going to be nice for a lot of people who don't want to wear something on their face.
Yeah.
But I think that glass isn't being ignored. If they said that glass was not going to get the Android Wear stuff, then I would see that as more of a indicator that it was, going away, and they were just kind of, trying to find a nice way of phasing it out. But they're adding in some more stuff to it. And then if I want to speak about what it's like to actually try to do things, so like looking at notifications is one thing, right? That's pretty easy to just like flip through, look at things. What if you're actually trying to do something? So just for fun on the way home, like I know how to get from where I work to my house, but it's always a nice test to pull up navigation, right? So I pulled up Android Wear, I pulled up my watch and I held it up and I'm like, okay, navigate to home or navigate home or whatever I said. And it detected it. Well, it actually pulled up my phone and did everything on the phone. And that's where one of the differences between a watch, Android Wear device like a watch and Glass is, the big difference is Glass is actually its own entire operating system. So the navigation that you have is actually running on Glass. It's using your phone for data, but it's not actually doing all of the work like on your phone. Whereas on the watch, you actually need your phone to be the brains in essence. They have talked about a little API and some little APIs that you can use to put more of an app on the watch, so you can do a little bit of stuff on there. But it's really going to depend on having a phone as the brain, which is, I think, a pretty big difference between the two.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I would never want to put. I would never want to make my Glass a full phone. I would never want to make my watch a full phone. But then 5-10 years from now, the ideals could change, and next thing you know, we're talking about. I never thought I can't remember the last time I had a phone in my pocket. I never, things like that. 10 years ago, I would have never guessed, because I always wore my phone in a clip on my belt, and I never would have guessed that I would have started putting the phone in the pocket. In fact, when the iPhone, because this last week, I think it was Sunday, back in 2007, the iPhone, the first generation iPhone actually came out, and I was thinking to myself, when I got my first iPhone, or when I was looking at the first iPhone, I was like, everybody's putting it in their pockets, and I don't get that. I always, I have to have that belt clip, and then I got my first iPhone, and after about first of all, I couldn't find a belt clip for it. So I started slipping it in my pocket, but I wanted to make sure I had a good case for it. So I got a good case for it, and I started putting it in my pocket, and then that was it. And now phones go in my pocket as opposed to a belt clip anymore. And so I could see myself in 5 years with a watch or with a pair of glasses, because I ditched my watch and glasses 10 years ago. So it's time to go back to those things. So amazing stuff. But the other thing that you said that I kind of was chuckling about was, I hate the fact that Google Plus has these notifications now. So when we're messaging back and forth, and it's been a while, and then you message back, if I have all my computers on, all of a sudden I hear this collective bloom, 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 bloom. And and of course my phone does that, and my Google Glass does that. So if I have the watch there too, then all of a sudden you bloop, 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 bloop. It's like coming from everywhere, and it's like, whoa, that's crazy.
I noticed that today at work. I was walking around. This is my first full day kind of back at the office after
vacation.
The week off, week off.
You sat in front of the San Francisco pools and just waited for Shaq to come out of his hotel room, right? Yeah, that's what you do.
The pedometer on my watch would disagree, but it was so like I was at work, and it was like I eventually turned my phone completely silent, so not just vibrate, but like where it wouldn't even vibrate when something would happen, because I would get this whole tingle down the left side of my body. It was like my pocket would buzz, and then my wrist would buzz, and it was just like shaking. Like I'm just like, what is going on? And then somebody would respond to that email, and they'd reply all. So I'd be on that reply, bzz, bzz, and then I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, this is kind of annoying to have like everything shaking. So it was like I had to turn my phone completely silent so it wouldn't even buzz. So that means that if you have everything on one side of your body and it starts buzzing, you can seizure up or something like that. You might have to be careful. I think part of that is a lot of notifications just kind of set really high priority, and so the watch buzzes for everything. Now the right way in Android is to have different levels of priority and basically kind of indicate, is this something that someone really cares about right now, or is it just a notification, and the next time they look at their device, or whether that be their watch or their phone, they'll see it.
Yeah.
And so everybody right now is like, oh yeah, I'm important, and they're just buzzing all over the place. And that's okay. But when you have a whole lot of that going on, you're just like, man, what is going on? I'm just shaken to death. And then you like check your watch and you're like, oh, it's just email. It's just some email chain going around the office, and it's not that important to me. And I really don't. But there's no way to really avoid it.
The interesting thing, and you're right, especially those people that don't understand that just replying with "okay" is not okay to do in an email chain.
Yeah.
But
Doesn't really add anything.
no, it doesn't add anything at all. But the one thing that I was going to get to was ghost painting. Like I said, I always had my phone on my belt clip, so whenever my phone rings, I get this ghost vibration off of my side at least for a long while. It hasn't happened it hasn't happened for a few months, but and now it's like I don't have my phone in my pocket, and I feel it vibrate in my pocket, and I go search my pockets, like, oh no, I don't have a phone there. So now we're putting that on our wrists, we're putting that on our faces. So when we don't have Google Glass on, and we don't have our watches on, we're just sitting there going, oh wait, no, I don't have my Google Glass. I don't have my watch on either. And we become a complete mess anyway. So I don't know. It's interesting. I just, when you mentioned the whole vibrate on, being able to have that all on one side, that's gotta freak somebody out at the first few times around.
When a whole lot of stuff is happening, it was really disorienting. It was just really distracting. And then trying to do things while driving home using Android Wear was not a great experience. Again, reading notifications is generally pretty good.
Yeah.
But trying to do something so one thing I can do on Glass very easily is send a text message. And it even sends it through Hangouts, which is nice because it's not using up, text messages. I guess I have unlimited, but I still like the whole Hangouts thing because then that's on every device I use. And so me and my wife use the Hangouts to chat back and forth. And Android Wear, it will receive things via Hangouts, but if you reply, it actually replies via text message. Again, using your phone is like the brain, and so it sends the message to your phone, and your phone sends this text message. And it was hard because my watch buzzed, and then I have to lift my wrist up, and you have to kind of turn your wrist for you, and then you have to look down a lot at your wrist because you don't hold your wrist up in front of your face like this while you're driving.
Yeah.
And so actually reading things off your watch while you're driving felt pretty dangerous. And then doing navigation was not as convenient because it uses your phone, and your phone's actually running the navigation app and just kind of sending the next direction to your watch. But the watch doesn't buzz when your turn's coming up or anything, and you can mute the thing from your phone. And so I get used to listening to it in Glass.
Yeah.
And not listening to it on the phone. And so if I mute the phone and I've got the watch, I'll basically just miss every turn, and I'll look down and it'll be like, oh, I need to turn. And you'll have to look down and turn your wrist, and it's it feels very dangerous in comparison to Glass. And so I think people that haven't had Glass might see Android Wear as this super, step up from what they've got now, which it definitely could be in a lot of cases. But to me, it is kind of a step down, and I don't mean that in any sort of elitist, well, Glass is so much better. I just mean it as after using it just a little bit, and I was looking at my watch a lot today. No, I'm not looking. I'm not trying to have a stuck-up nose or big nose.
You're not stuck up, are you?
Yeah, no, and it's but using so I looked at the watch a lot today, and I got pretty comfortable with it, but I don't know, driving, it did feel pretty dangerous having that watch. It's I would feel much better just having my phone on in a little holder on my dash, and that feels a lot safer. That's a lot more, line of sight.
Well, yeah, but that's because the watch is on your wrist, and you're not used to doing that, because I remember driving. There are times I remember, I'm driving along. It's oh, what time is it? Okay. And I do something like that.
Glance. That's not trying to read a text message or.
Agreed, but I knew some people that actually before they went driving, they took their watches off and they set them on the dash, and some of them had like Velcro, so they could Velcro it onto the dash or something. I can't remember exactly what they did, but their watches were always on the dash, so when they could look at the time, they just do that, and it was better for them. But you're absolutely right. It's kind of a learned thing, but so was having a cell phone. That was a learned thing. Driving car, you shouldn't be texting and driving to begin with. That's the bottom line. So strike two for you, mister. And I'm going to call a cop. I'm going to call a Texas cop. Texas cops are worse.
They don't mess around.
Yeah, especially that one that found the guy that used my credit card in Lewisville, Texas, which didn't happen.
Also,
So,
the Texas Rangers are pretty dangerous, especially that one Texas Ranger. What's his name? Walker. Yeah,
Mr. Norris
yeah, Walker, Texas Ranger.
Walker. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's move on. Well, we've been talking about Google Glass, if Google Glass is going bye-bye or not. But Lou, of course, we're talking about the UK actually now getting Glass Explorer program. And the first thing that happened was the UK had decided, well, we're not even going to mess around with it. We're just going to do it. And so they put a ban on all Glass in UK cinemas. So if you found, and they're doing it simply put because they don't understand the product, because there's no way in God's green earth will I watch a movie that somebody recorded through their Google Glass. Now, if you've been watching me in the last 2-3 minutes, I have not sat still enough to do. And if I'm watching a movie and there's a screen right below me, so I'm pointing this thing to record here, I've got to be like exactly like this the whole movie. I cannot move around one bit. And let me tell you something, it is not that easy to do. And like Luke, I remember last year I had you about this time last year I had you stand at the window in your office for 5 minutes as we created a time lapse through Google Glass. And that wasn't easy, was it?
No, no. And if you go back and watch that video, it was still kind of shaky. Like,
Yeah.
especially when you sped it up, you could see this little kind of shaking and stuff. And
And
yeah,
that was even with the I put stabilization. I put it into a program, actually stabilized it, and it did its best in stabilizing. But it's not the greatest work in the world. I suppose technology has gotten better, and I could get a Adobe program that'll let me do it for $5,000. But for what I had, it did a decent job. But yeah, there's no way. Especially, like blockbusters like Transformers or something like that just came out. The video to begin with, I mean, you saw the video of the rainstorm. Did I show the video? I showed Luke.
I don't think you showed that on the air.
Yeah, I got one of the photos I showed Luke was the rainstorm. I showed the video of the plant, and that didn't look that great right there. But we're going through a major rainstorm right now, and let me pull this up. Because it really shows what I'm talking about here. It does not look that great, and I don't know if you want to watch a movie. I mean, this is just the rain that happened last about 2 hours ago. It's still going on right now, but that is full daylight. Imagine going into a dark theater and trying to get video. It just doesn't work. And I've even got some pictures on here of when I was at Ford, where they're just really washed out photos because it doesn't handle the light that well.
Yeah,
and
it's such a wide angle too.
Exactly.
Like, I've taken a couple of pictures at a drive-in movie theater here with glass, and like, so even if you think of like, well, okay, it's a 1080p screen. Let's just say it's a 1080p video. I think it's just 720p. But like maybe the middle quarter, maybe the middle third is actually the video, like it would be the screen, and so basically you're going to have to crop down the video image into like this little, tiny, postage stamp, and then like you said, the white balance will be horrible. It won't be able to reproduce the color. Like a very, medium-priced video camera would be a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Doing that, you could zoom in, you could put it on some little kind of makeshift tripod and set it up. And then I learned a trick reading the article too. I learned some of the tricks of the trade for pirating movies even.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing is, they're going to complain more about glass, but I have several cameras in this room alone that I could stuff into my shirt pockets.
Yeah.
And I could just have it sticking up like this, and it's easier for my body not to move as opposed to my head.
Yeah, your head.
And but it could be sitting there taking a movie and go from there. The other thing, of course, the full logistics of if you've got a pair of Google Glass with prescription frames on, and you don't bring that second pair of glasses, you won't get to see the movie. Now,
yeah.
I on the other hand, I understand pirating is an issue, and a lot of our illegal imports, or a lot of those illegal movies come from non-monitored theaters. Not as much as in Europe, more towards China. But yeah, I suppose there are some people that will bring a video camera into a movie theater, and there's probably people here in where I live, which is where is that, Luke?
Madison, Wisconsin.
There you go. And there are probably people that have brought cameras in and taken videos of movies, so they could bring it home, so they could show their kids, they could show the other family on there. But I've got more pro cameras that I could fit into my shirt and do that. I don't, because it's just not worth it. Because in 5 weeks the movie comes out on Amazon, and then in another 5 weeks it's on Amazon Prime. I can wait 10 weeks for that movie. We've been waiting to watch the Lego movie because now it's on Prime, or it's on Amazon. We can rent it there, but in a few weeks it's going to be on Amazon Prime and Netflix, and I can wait that long for that movie. Simple as that.
Yeah. I like the trick that I learned reading that article about how people pirate movies is they actually record the audio from like another theater. So they'll go to like a crowded movie theater and they'll record the video, and then they'll find like an empty movie theater, somebody else that's like in some little podunk town, I guess, will bring in, well, whatever, So some little town where like nobody's seen the movie, they can bring like a little audio gear setup that can record, from the movie theater and get the sound real good. And so then they can just splice the two together, and it's like, I never really thought about that. You don't really need an empty movie theater to record the video and the audio. You just need an empty one to record the audio, and then the crowded one can probably hide the video camera a lot better. And the audio they can probably hide really easy because that doesn't have to be pointed up at the screen. That can just be kind of held down in the popcorn next to you or whatever. Popcorn is probably a great windscreen.
Yeah, well, actually, if you took a popcorn cup and you could actually turn it into a tunnel, but with 5.1 surround sound, recording devices, handheld recording devices can record 5.1. The camera that you're seeing me from, it's a Sony Handycam, that records 5.1 surround. So it's very possible. I used to, when I started, I actually worked in a movie theater / live concert venue. And it sometimes, and this happened to me once, somebody came in and they were, they had some green in their hand, and we were getting ready to thread one of the films. I think it was Batman Returns at the time, and they had, they had a lot of money, and they said, hey, would you want to do a deal with us? And so what would happen is they would walk into the theater, they'd set up their gear, because back then, in order for a camera person to get the film going, they actually have to thread it. And when they thread it, they actually have to play the movie once to make sure everything threads correctly. You can't rewind a 70 millimeter film, just not possible. So you start it, you let it go, and it runs, and you play. The first run of any movie is in an empty movie theater with maybe a couple people in there, employees or whatever. So some guy walks up, $100 in his hand, and says, "Hey, here's something for your efforts. I want to take the camera." And of course, we were not that type of theater, so we basically told him to go himself and go from there. But even in the digital age now, there's still people that probably come on with a couple bills and say, hey, let us record the film with high gear, and it still gets done. But it's not going to happen on Google Glass. I can assure you that.
Yeah,
and
that's
nobody will want to watch it. So
yeah, I'd like to see the video. It's like, show me one pirated video. Go download it, whatever you want, and find the one where they shot it with Google Glass, and show me that that's the most popular, rip or whatever, pirated version of that movie. It's like, no, it's going to look horrible. They talked about the battery life. Like, you couldn't even, you'd have to have a battery pack hooked up to it, which is, even more subtle, right? This, like, like,
oh yeah. We're not even talking about, and you have to have more than 45 minutes worth of battery life on your glass to do that.
There's so many problems with it. It's like anybody who's tried using it would know that, yeah, pirating a movie is just not, like, Google Glass is like the worst thing for that. So yeah, the fact that they're banning it is just, I don't know, it just looks silly. It's like, oh, yeah, you're gonna, you better ban those 35 millimeter handy cams people have.
Well, they are banned. They are. So
I guess it's okay, but I mean, like, are you worried about people sneaking those in? Like, I don't.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that they're not putting little stickers on top of your camera on your phone. Because I've seen people, hold up their phone for like an hour at a time to get a rock concert. Yeah. They could do the same thing with a movie just as easy, and put a piece of cloth over the other side so the brightness or turn down the contrast or something like that and go from there. I do somewhere around here. I have a couple movies. Back in 2005, a friend went to China, and he went into the back alleys and bought a couple movies. I think one of them was Bewitched, and he brought them back, and he gave them to me, and it's like we watched those DVDs, and those are with even at the time the better cameras, and they still looked like crud. So
yeah, it's like, I mean,
not worth it.
If that's your only option, that's what people will watch, I guess. But yeah, like, I don't know. Most people are like, yeah, like you said, like, I'll just wait, or it'll come to Redbox and be $1, like, it's not. Like,
not worth it.
It's just not worth the hassle.
Exactly. So, you know what is worth it? This episode, this show. Yeah. It's worth it to come back next week. It's worth it to come back the week after. It's worth it to watch the previous episodes of This Week in Google Glass. We got 43 other episodes that you can watch. That's 2 days worth of binge watching right there. We're doing more than Orange is the New Black, than you put House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, both seasons together. We still got more content that you could than those two shows. So come see us. So anyway, Luke, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Luke Luca, that's LukeEluca, or Luke at twig.tv, that's TWIGG.tv, This Week in Google Glass .tv. Or you can find me on Google+, that's where you can see a bunch of pictures I've taken through glass. You can see my little travels, see my run-in with Shaq, and read about that story. He actually reached out to me. Like, I wouldn't have noticed him, but he said something about Google Glass to me, and that's how we kind of met.
That's how you rolled?
Yeah, that's how I rolled. He's like, dude, I got to talk to this guy. He's wearing Google Glass. And I was like, whatever, man. And I just kind of walked by, and then I was like, wait a second. I think I know that voice.
Can I see your Google Glass? I want to see your Google Glass. Yeah. You got the Google Glass.
Yeah, that was fun. But anyway, so
that's cool.
If you want to see that picture, it's over on my Google Plus page, which is google.com/plus, the plus sign, Luke Wallace. And you can see that spelled here in the bottom of the video if you're watching the video.
There you go. And, of course, I'm found Jeffrey Powers, Geekazine, Think Magazine, put in a geek. It's right here, Geekazine. Jeff at twig.tv. I set up Jeff at thisweekingoogleglass.com. You can definitely do it that way, too, and I'll still go in the right spot here. So, and, of course, You had Shaq seek out your Google Glass. I had Jesse Eisenberg seek out my Google Glass this week. It was a pretty good week for our Google Glasses, right?
We're like the celebrities to them, I guess.
Yeah, this is how we roll. They see us rolling. the Hayden. So anyway, that's it for this episode of This Week in Google Glass. Let us know what you think. Feel free to come and contact us. If you want to be on the show, just let us know. If you got a Google Glass app that you want to talk about, or your Google Glass Explorer or Post Explorer, or you have a new pair of Google Glass or not Google Glass, or we didn't even talk about the cardboard thing. And but we're out of time here. I got one more picture here. I'm going to show you a nice, cute picture of a bunny that was in my front yard right before the storm. He stood there on his hind legs for about 10 minutes, enough for me to pull out my phone and call up the camera app and take 3-4 pictures of him. And he was just like, okay, I'm going to be, where's your Google Glass? I want to wear your Google Glass. So.
They're coming out of the woodwork to find it.
Yeah, they're coming out of the woodwork for my Google Glass. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching. We will see you next week on This Week is Google Glass, or This Week in Google Glass. Is or in, whatever. This Week in Google Glass. You guys take care.